Greetings, welcome to the Film School. I'm Joe.
And I'm Chris.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Dark Phoenix, the 12th film in 20th Century Fox and Marvel's X-Men franchise, the next to last film in the franchise, that is to say if the New Mutants actually does come out next April like it's supposed to.
Yeah, 2 years. Now it's going on 2 years, about.
2 years.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the final film to feature the X-Men team until, of course, they're reintegrated into the MCU. Now the 20th Century Fox is owned by the mega corporation known as Disney. All hail Disney. Because one day they will own everything.
God.
One day you'll go to a 7-Eleven, inside a Starbucks, inside a Walmart, inside Disney, like Disneyland. It'll all be owned.
Right.
One nation under Mickey Mouse. Those. Luckily, hopefully, I'll be dead before that happens. But anyways, so yeah, one of the summer comic book movies. I gotta say, I'm a little confused by this film, honestly. As a final entry into this series of characters that I've invested decades of reading and watching, and after 19 years of live action movies, I gotta say. The second time they covered the Dark Phoenix saga, and I don't think it was much better than X-Men: The Last Stand. That's,
Yeah, it was kind of a disappointing ending to the franchise, but it had some good qualities to it.
Sure.
It was, the action was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. It was an entertaining film. But we're gonna have some spoilers here, and I'm gonna get right into those real quick. Quicksilver, WTF, hardly in this thing.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, it's just...
Nightcrawler, hardly in this thing.
Right.
Storm, and then you got the whole spiel from Cyclops and Beast, like, we're the last of the first class. Well, yeah, because you keep cutting everybody out of the movie. Why? It should incorporate them all.
Yeah.
Happy to report Jennifer Lawrence gets killed, so I'm fine with that because I don't like Jennifer Lawrence much, but that's just me. I don't know. I feel like this movie makes no sense in a lot of ways because it doesn't really fit into the canon. And I know the X-Men's canon is varied because of Days of Future Past reset the events specifically from The Last Stand. That's about it. It's like X-Men and X-Men 2, X-Men United are supposed to be like the fixed points, right? Like those movies are fine. They weren't affected. And all the other subsequent films since that retro canon, like the changing of the timelines, have fit still within that continuity, like going full circle, And this movie doesn't. This movie basically, I have no idea where they were going with this.
Yeah, it's like almost like its own movie, really. And then it was directed by Simon Kinberg, who wrote most of the franchise, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know where he was going with this at all.
So it takes place in 1992, which was a good year. I was 16. That was a lot of fun. So just, I know the first X movie came out in 2000, but it's supposed to be set, in the early 2000s. There's no specific time, but I would estimate that this movie is roughly 10 years before the first X-Men, and it does not connect at all. It really doesn't. Mystique's gone. I don't even know why they made her such a centralized character in the first place, because she's always been... she's popular in the comic books and everything, but I feel like they kind of wasted opportunities with other X-Men that are more popular or more endearing. So, that was kind of weird. But, where was Colossus? There were so many X-Men who just inexplicably are not in here without really any explanation.
Right. Then I don't know, the whole villain thing that takes over Jessica Chastain's character. Like,
the aliens?
Yeah, like,
I don't even remember their names.
Yeah, like, it really didn't go into why they were there or what was going on. It just, I don't know.
And it's a challenge to my knowledge of X-Men because I'm not the foremost expert on the X-Men. I haven't been continuously reading my whole life. In fact, I've stopped reading on a regular basis about 92. But the aliens didn't seem familiar with me. They're not a race that I ever heard of, so I don't even know if I think they could be original. Should probably have researched that before talking about it. I don't want to be one of those reviews where you accidentally mistake Ken Watanabe, Japanese actor from Godzilla King of the Monsters, with Chow Yun-fat from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. A Japanese, a Chinese, there's a difference. So, usually we try and check our information before we speak, so I apologize that I'm not up to par on that, but he's right. Doesn't matter if they were from the comic books or not. They were a weak villain.
Yeah, it really was.
What was their motivation? We're just trying to survive. We want to harness the power of the Phoenix. Very generic. Very generic. I honestly think that, it is slightly better or more enjoyable than X-Men The Last Stand, but not by much. And again, these movies aren't... Even X-Men Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine, those movies are not the worst movies I've ever seen. They're not The Room. They're not Manos the Hands of Fate or Birdemic, okay? Like, these are...
You can't compare those to those.
Exactly. So when people freak out like, oh, it's just the worst. Like, calm down. It's not the worst. It at least had a good production value, decent CG. Although it was weird that, like, Storm or Jean Grey and Cyclops, who were kind of introduced in Apocalypse, or reintroduced in Apocalypse, suddenly they became the focal point. I just didn't feel like we'd had enough films to really... I mean, again, unless you have a history of them from the original films, or the first half of the films, with the original cast, then you're kind of like, oh, yeah, but the changes they made, it's like I felt no emotional connection to Jean. I felt no emotional connection to anyone, really, except for maybe James McAvoy. I felt like Michael Fassbender was wasted in this movie as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only in the third act of this thing.
Right.
Not for very long, either. So it's mostly about Jean Grey. Oh, and I was wrong. That's right. Days of Future Past does retcon certain elements of X-Men Origins Wolverine, mainly just the Deadpool elements. It doesn't really retcon Wolverine's origin because X-Men Origins Wolverine is still same canon or same continuity as the first two X-Men movies that explore his origins in flashbacks and whatnot. So I mean, it all up until this point, the change in the timeline wasn't that confusing for me. It still felt like it was like, okay, we erased a couple of things from the past, but these movies with this younger team are leading to where we began with the original Bryan Singer 2000 X-Men movie, and this just screwed all that continuity up for me, and that really makes it a big problem for me to enjoy it. Like, if they had tried to fit it in within that continuity more, I think I would have enjoyed it more, as overall.
But the cinematography on it was Mario Fiora, he shoots a lot of action movies. He works with Antoine Fuqua.
Oh, okay. So did he shoot the Replacement Killers?
No, but he did like Training Day and like the Equalizer movies.
Training Day is a good movie.
And
never saw the Equalizer movies because I'll take the TV show. Thank you very much.
But cinematography wasn't bad. It was nice.
No, cinematography was good, and for one of these franchised, summer event movies, I felt like it was less like a video game than some of the other movies I've been bombarded with lately.
Right.
Like, this genre used to be my thing. Like, I loved it more than any other genre for a long time because, I only got one or two of these movies a year, if that. And now it's like 12 of them a year, and all the other studios are trying to imitate them too, and it's getting to a point where, unfortunately, I think I'm starting to get burned out. I don't want to say that because I want them to continue, and I want to see them grow, and I want to see, films of this caliber taken from the print, but it was just overall, it was a disappointment. I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 4 stars. I'd probably recommend just waiting till you can stream it or download it digitally, or I mean, I will buy it physically for my collection, but
yeah, I'll give it the same 2.5 out of 4 as well.
Yeah, there weren't really any performances that stood out that much to me.
No,
because I mean, Jean is more or less the folk. She's like the main character in this, but even still, it's a lot of...
What's the actress name? Sophie Turner.
It's a lot of internal struggle.
Was she in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
You guys can hate me for that because I don't watch that show. So.
I don't either, so I'm on the same page. I tried. It was a little...
Guys, I watch that show.
Yeah, you and 60 million other people. I get
I'll
it.
be quiet.
I don't have a problem with it. I just couldn't get into it. It was so slow that first season. And when I hear people go, well, you got to wait till the second or third season.
No, it was the third season.
I'm not going to do that.
Sit through 10 episodes of the second season if it's just going to be as boring as the first season. Sorry. Just not going to do it.
So I had to get into it. Instead, I watched Boardwalk Empire. So,
but, that's beside the point. We're still talking about Dark Phoenix.
So Dark Phoenix, good, bad, middle ground. Middle ground. I know that there's a lot of extreme opinions out there right now that's you either love it or hate it, it's good or bad, but no, there really is a middle ground, and this falls in that area. Slightly better than The Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine, but not as good as anything that they've done since those two movies, so that's my opinion.
Well, tell us what you think.
Yeah, please comment below. I'd like to hear some opinions. And as always, like and subscribe, and thanks for joining us.
Have a good night.
Cheers. Maybe we ought to do a review of that pilot for that '89 X-Men cartoon. He's a mutant, a stinking mutant.